Rudy Giuliani sat down for an interview with Erin Burnett, where she did a shockingly decent job at holding his feet to the fire on the issue of police abuse and racism.
A ProPublica analysis actually was done on the issue of whether young black males were more likely to be killed by police in this country. They looked at federal data from 2010 through 2012, because there aren't federal statistics on this particular issue. They found a 21 times more likely chance that a young black man would be killed by a police officer than a young white man. That's a pretty stunning statistic, and it argues against what you just said.
No, it doesn't. Statistics don't tell you anything. We'd have to know what those 21 people were doing. By what percentage do black young men commit violent crimes compared to white? Isn't it like 5, 6, 7 to 1?
But this is 21 to 1.
Well, 5, 6, 7 to 1 means there can be an awful lot of concentration and a lot more interreactions between the police and the black community than between the police and the white community. So you just can't look at a statistic like that. In the case of New York City, for example, 70 to 75% of the murders are committed by blacks. That's a statistic. That's not racism. That's a fact. So you would expect, if that's the case, if it's 70 to 75%, that the overwhelming majority of interreactions dealing with violent crime are going to be with blacks. Unfortunately.
Right,
I
but
wish
I mean,
it were
you can play. I mean, I see your point, but I mean, if you are going to play statistics that way, you're looking at 75%.
Well, you're the one who brought up
21 to 1. No, I know, but I mean, I'm saying if 75% of the crime is committed by blacks, as you're saying, but again, 21 to 1. I'm just saying that's still not in balance with the crime rate.
Well, but you'd have to know what those 21. You'd have to know what you're talking about, not just the numbers. You'd have to know what kind of situations. What kind of situations you're talking about? What kind of crimes were involved? What kind of provocation took place? Did one group more likely surrender and the other group not? I mean, in the case of both Mr. Garner and Mr. Brown, they were committing crimes.
So the penalty is death for selling untaxed cigarettes, and the penalty is death for walking in the street, as Mike Brown was. Now, did you notice what he did there? When Burnett presented statistics that didn't suit his narrative, he said, quote, "Statistics don't tell you anything." Then, when he presents a statistic that does fit his narrative, he says, quote, "That's a statistic. That's not racism. That's a fact." So wait, which is it? Is it that statistics don't tell you anything, or that statistics are statistics, and it's not racism, and it's a fact when I bring them up and they suit my narrative? So notice what he's doing there. When it's the cops killing blacks at an astronomical rate compared to whites, he says, oh, you have to understand that it's complicated, and you'd have to look at the backstory and the total situation to get an understanding of why that happened. But when you flip it, and when blacks commit crimes, it's never complicated. It's never complicated. You don't have to look at the backstory. You don't have to understand where the crimes come from and why they're happening. So his bias is so apparent that it's laughable. It's clear that he's simply playing for a team. He's a tribal kind of human being. He says, my people are the cops, my people are the white people, I'm going to back up my people, I'm going to be kind to them, and the other person, the other group, the other tribe, all the black people, well, we just assume that their motives are bad because they're not part of my inner group. It's really, really a sad thing, and what's fascinating is watching him flip-flop within a matter of a minute. He goes from when the statistics don't suit his narrative and he can't explain them, right? The black people getting arrested at a 21 times higher rate or killed at a 21 times higher rate than white people. What does he do? He doesn't have an answer for that. So he goes, statistics are irrelevant. Statistics don't matter. What's the backstory behind that? That's what we need to care about. And then he gives his own statistic. I thought statistics were irrelevant. Now you want to bring up statistics when you think it suits your narrative. Look, the reality of the situation with the black community is complex, and it's nuanced. It's not what Rudy Giuliani is trying to portray, which is basically, come on, guys, you know how they are. You know how they are. It's that community, and they haven't gotten their shit together, and that's really why. And they do more crime, so it's just in their nature to act like that. No, the real problem in society, the real problem in the black community is poverty and racism and systemic abuse. And look, understand something. This isn't just my opinion. We've gone through a plethora of studies that all back up this fact. I can't tell you how many times we bring them up on the show to the point where everybody listening is probably tired of hearing me talk about them. That when black people and white people use drugs at a similar rate, black people get arrested 4 to 6 times more often. The statistic that Aaron Burnett just brought up right there, that black people are killed at a 21 times higher rate. When you have a black person and a white person and they commit the same crime, the black person is much more likely to get the death penalty. There's a black person killed by some form of authority in America every 28 hours. I mean, how much more evidence do you need that there are problems? And again, what the conservative response to this is always, well, that doesn't show that there's a problem against blacks. It shows that there's a problem with the blacks themselves. That really is their argument. And that's such an easy argument to demolish because we've seen other studies like the resume study, where if you have the exact same job information on a resume and just a traditionally sounding black name on one and a white name on the other, the white name gets all the hits. There was an eBay study. You have a black hand holding an iPod and a white hand holding an iPod. The price and everything else the same. Everybody buys from the white hand. How much more evidence do you need? The YouTube clip that went viral was very illustrative. There was a white kid and his black friend. The white kid went and tried to open up his car door with one of those tools to do so, as if his keys were locked in the car, and everybody around him didn't pay him any attention whatsoever. He was using this tool to break into a car. Nobody gave a shit. In fact, a cop literally drove by him as he did it. Didn't care. When a black guy did the exact same thing in the exact same neighborhood, what happened? Police showed up within 10 minutes. Threw him against the wall, handcuffed him, were aggressive with him. Everybody who saw the black guy doing it assumed he was stealing it. There are real problems with the way we police and the way the system is set up. And to act like the problem all lies with black people themselves, no, here's how you know that's bullshit. If you flip the two communities' histories, so if we lived in this parallel Twilight Zone universe where America was majority African American and white people were brought over from West Africa and white people were the slaves and white people just got desegregation in 1964, the crime statistics would be the exact same. It would be the white people with the same crime statistics. It would be the white people experiencing discrimination. If you flip the histories, all the numbers would flip as well. There's nothing inherent in somebody's blackness that leads them to commit crime any more than the color of their hair leads them to commit a crime or the color of their eyes lead them to commit a crime. I mean, these things should be obvious, but to a guy like Rudy Giuliani, he's an old school racist where it's casual racism, it's nonchalant racism, it's subconscious racism, where he brings up statistics to back up his own argument, but then when you bring up counter statistics which disprove his argument, he goes, what statistics are relevant? What are you talking about? That doesn't matter at all. Then why did you just cite statistics? Either you allow statistics in the conversation or you don't. If you allow them, you got to allow them all in there.